It's my pleasure to introduce you to two of our lead developers, Yet Chang and Eric Chong. They will take you through the rest of the demo and the use cases. Take it away, Yet.
Thank you, Arthur. For this demonstration, we're going to show you how to request service from the service catalog using the ServiceNow portal. The entire process requests are driven by the vRealize automation to provision the server, and by leveraging Ansible in conjunction with vRealize Orchestrator to install the software application. In this example, we are simulating in a scenario where Bob, the manager of a development team, needs to test a new application and requires a dev cluster that consists of web server and a large backend database for heavy transaction processing. The manager assigns this project to a dev user named Eileen to build this new application development cluster.
This is Bob.
Hello.
He's in charge. And this is Eileen.
Hi.
She's got a problem.
Eileen, we need some code updates on the web tier of the customer loyalty portal, and we need them yesterday.
I can handle it through ServiceNow, but it will take 48 to 72 hours to receive the approval and the resource. Sorry, Bob.
No problem. Some new cloud orchestration and automation has been added to our hybrid cloud environment, and that'll speed things up dramatically.
The company uses ServiceNow as the standard service platform to perform a variety of tasks, and one of them is for requesting servers and applications. She will then log into the ServiceNow portal, where she will be presented with a dashboard containing catalogs and chart widgets to her homepage. As you can see, we have the ServiceNow page. We go ahead and click on the IIS icon to review the list of available catalog items. Once Eileen navigates into the IIS service catalog, she's presented with a list of different OS and application options. She will go ahead and click on the Linux web server to start the deployment as requested by her manager, Bob. From the Linux web server catalog page, there are a couple of configuration options presented to the user. First, we select from the drop-down menu which web server component do we need to install on the server, either Apache or Nginx from the list. And second, select the size of the VM from small, medium, or large. For this demo purpose, we select the default value, which are Apache and a small VM, and then click on the Order Now button on the upper right-hand corner. Keep in mind that each ServiceNow catalog items can be configured and presented as a VM template with just an operating system, or you can have multiple application catalogs for different type of servers installation. Going back to the request page, we can see that the server request has successfully been submitted. Now, let's take a look and review how this request was processed from a single ServiceNow request into a provisioned VM in VRA. To view that, we open the VRO client and search for this particular workflow. Here, we can see a successful workflow where all the parameters from a ServiceNow request goes through several conversion and activity processes and into a final VRA catalog request. Once we see the master workflow request succeeded in VRO, we can now take a look at this request being passed to VRA. From the VRA home portal, we can see the new request item is being provisioned with the in progress status. This will take a few minutes to complete. Once the Linux web server is deployed, we can review the deployment process by clicking on the request number and then click on the execution information link on the upper right-hand corner. Here, we can see the name assignment of the newly deployed web server, which will be used to validate from the vSphere client. Now, let's log into the vSphere web client and verify the name of the deployed VM matches with the name in VRA. Let's take a note of the IP address and validate if the Apache web application is installed on the Linux web machine. We launch a web browser and type the IP address of the server. As you can see, we got a hello world response from the server, meaning the Apache web server is installed and configured successfully. Since we demonstrated the deployment of the first web server, Eileen, the dev user, can continue deploying the rest of the web server as requested.
Whoa! I just received notification that my request has been approved? How is that even possible? I just made the request 15 minutes ago.
Hi, Bob. Eileen here. Did you escalate my request? There may be some sort of error. I know there's new cloud management in place, but no way we went from 48 to 72 hours to 15 minutes. Did you speak to IT Ops regarding my server request?
No, I haven't spoken with the operations or security team today. It looks like that new cloud automation and management solution we implemented has been able to streamline our approval process and provisioning. Guess the team will have no problem meeting our deadline for the new dev build. I better let the QA team know that we're ahead of schedule.
Wow, great!
Eileen, before you go, can you do me another favor? Please request a backend DB dev server. We have to make the necessary changes to the stack to test the new web functionality. Have to be sure there are no vulnerabilities. CISO has put a hold on all DB server requests based on the latest vulnerabilities announced last week. We better get started ASAP. Not sure how long that review will take. I will approve once I receive the management approval request from the security team.
No problem. I'll do that right now. I'm excited to see how our new cloud management and automation capabilities handle this. What do you think, 24 hours instead of the usual 72-hour SLA?
Keep me updated. I'll look for the management approval request and let you know when I complete that request.
But for this demonstration purpose, we are just going to deploy a large backend database server. Now let's go back to the ServiceNow portal homepage to start the database deployment. We click on the IIS icon, and from the service catalog, we select the MySQL server. Since the database is going to handle heavy transaction, Eileen, the dev user, will be selecting the large size VM from the catalog page. Then click on the Order Now button on the upper right-hand corner. Here we see that the request has been submitted. Just for validation purpose, we go back to the VRO client and review the status for the ServiceNow to VRA workflow. As we can see, this workflow was executed successfully. On a side note, within Eileen's IT department, due to a security threat announced by the security team, all database server requests would need management approval. All approval requests will be sent via email or to the manager's VRA inbox. Since Eileen's manager, Bob, is aware of the database deployment, the manager will log in to VRA and review the requests. From the Inbox tab, Bob can review the request with information like who is requesting the database and when. For Bob to approve this request, he will click on the approval request number and review the details of this VM request. For this demo purpose, we will go ahead and approve this request for Eileen within the VRA client. Now, going back to the VRA homepage, we can see the request is approved with the in progress status. After a few minutes, the MySQL server is successfully deployed. Now, to review and validate the name of the newly deployed database server, we click on the request number and go to the execution information link. Now let's log in to the vSphere web client and validate the name of the new database VM. As you can see, we have demonstrated the request process from a self-service catalog in ServiceNow into the automation process in VRA, and the use of Ansible for deploying the application.
Hey, Bob, I just came back from lunch and I got a series of updates and approvals from security, your management approval, and the credentials for the DB server, with security's authorization, along with hardening configurations and best practices, all implemented on the DB server. Pretty amazing.
I know, I couldn't believe how quickly I received the request. It's amazing.
Now I will pass it on to Eric, and he will be talking more about how Ansible works in detail.